What's up, everybody? The Mow-Vember campaign is in full swing. It is really moving along now. It is November 1st. I hope everybody out there is paying attention to all of the other YouTubers, influencers, everything on social media, people getting involved in this very important Men's Health Month. So, as it is officially the first day, here it is, right? Still working. Kind of cleaned it up a little bit. I like the shape better now. There were a couple of guys who mentioned some really important things in their videos in the last little bit, and that was one about personal health. And Allyn brought it up, Matt Martin brought it up. I'm sure there's other guys that have done that too, about how we tend, and I'm talking to you guys, and this applies to women too, but for men, we tend to get so caught up in the day-to-day grind that we really forget to take care of ourselves and our bodies, whether that's mental health, physical health, spiritual health, depending on what your practice is. And my lawn season is now over here in Park City. Snow is not melting. It is very cold. I'm not going to be really doing anything else out on the lawn. But what I can do, and this is where I want my community to really help and support me in this particular goal, is leading up to this, and when the campaign was first brought to my attention, I started thinking about other things that I could do personally in order to improve my health and really just be better for it, bottom line. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and relate it into lawn care as far as patterning and results and everything else. So a couple of stats first and foremost, just so everybody's aware. I am 6'7". I am 250 pounds. I have a resting heart rate of 58 beats per minute. I have a blood pressure of 115/75. Overall, I am in pretty good shape, but I have what my niece, who is a Pilates instructor, yoga instructor, fitness coach, likes to refer to as a luxury layer. And that comes from a couple of things. I really enjoy whiskey and beer. I'm pretty much a George Thorogood song. And coffee, like a lot. Because it's so good at any time of day. So there's a couple of things that I can say just in regards to that. Now, here's what we're going to start equating into lawn, soils, and general life. In order for me to maintain the health of my turf this year and the height of the turf this year, I had to mow it every other day. And if I didn't mow it every other day, it could get stressed out if I waited too long and then ended up cutting it. It was kind of too much at once. So that was a pattern that I was very much into. Every other day I'd cut that grass. Every other day I'd cut that grass. Okay, so I'm making that same commitment to myself on a health level. I'm going to talk about a couple of things that I do in general for health and how we're going to kind of expand on that a little bit more. What's up, buddy? This is Ray. Ray is a handful. So here is my commitment for this month of November, Movember. And I'm going to talk about the things that I really like to do and how I'm committing further to them and how this equates to general health. Now, I do yoga. I enjoy yoga. I got into it maybe a few years ago. Practice mainly by myself. I roll out a mat and do a 45-minute flow, and it works for me. In the last year or so, I started getting more involved with some studios and really expanding the practice and having a community to do that with and just get stronger and more flexible. And so I want to talk about that for a second. One of the biggest things as we age is balance tends to go away. And I want you to really think about this for a second. We have many people in our lives have fallen, usually elderly people, ended up in the hospital and didn't come out of it. And there is just sort of it's a natural degradation of the inner ear where your balance starts to go away. And as we age, it's important to do activities that maintain and enhance balance. And that's really one of the reasons that I got into this to begin with. And a friend of mine pointed that out to me one day. He was standing on one of those balance boards, and he's in his early 60s, and said, this is what will keep me living longest, is having balance and continuing to maintain that. So I urge that. Flexibility in your joints, it's awesome. You're not dealing with any impact, so you're able to just flex, get really good flexibility in your joints, open up your body to breathe better, and just overall get stronger. So that's really why I do that. So as I did my every other day mowing, I am now every other day going to the studio. Aside from that, one of the reasons I live where I live here is mountain biking, which I love, and it felt like such a short year and I didn't get to do it, but I've got a stationary bike in my room. I have already been on that every day since I got back from my trip to Florida. That is going to maintain, and I'll ride between 15 and 18 miles a day and do that. So there are pieces of health that I'm getting into. Now here's the fun part. We'll talk about the patterning. I mowed every other day. I'm going to go hit this studio every other day. That's just the way it's going to go. I'm not traveling really much this month, so that makes it a lot easier. I've got to cut down on those luxury items. Whiskey and beer, I don't really need it. It just feels good. And the problem with my coffee drinking isn't that it's necessarily bad from a health standpoint, but I don't drink water. And come on, that's sort of important when I'm talking about we get so much stress talking about lawns and how to water them properly, and I'm not even doing it for myself. It doesn't really work. There's no integrity in that. So that's another thing that I've got to cut this down and switch to water. And water's delicious. And obviously I usually do that when I work out and stuff, but I'll tell you what, it's the first thing I go for. First thing in the morning, usually around my first phone calls. It's just a kind of a steady thing. So Next thing. Earlier this year, I did a DNA test just to see sort of what my body, how it handles things, how, sort of vitamin deficiencies, all of those kind of things. I went full in to kind of take it like I'm doing a soil test. I want to see what's deficient so I can put it back in. So in doing that, and now I cannot remember the name of the company, but I'll put it in the description below when I look it up after this video. It took like 6 weeks to get, so it's not really anything that you can do really quickly. But it ran through where my vitamin deficiencies were, how I process carbohydrates, protein, recommendations for diet. And one of the biggest ones for me was more fiber in my diet. And typically that would be something I overlook. It actually wanted me to get away from meats, to get away from sort of that keto idea and be a little bit more grain and here it comes again, focused a little bit more on the fiber side. So I'm taking that to heart as well this month. I'm not guessing, I'm testing. That's basically what's going to happen. So I'm running through a protocol put together just to see how it goes and see how my general health goes. So all of these things are leading to one ultimate goal. Feel better, live longer, live healthier, laugh as much as possible, and spend as much time on this earth with my kids as I can. Because you work in the soil, you work in the plants, you look at the roots, kind of get comfortable with that soil. Because really someday you're going to be spending a lot more time in it than on it. Be looking at the roots from a different direction. So I just want to keep this thing going. Everybody out there who is participating in this Movember campaign, make sure you take a look over at Lazy Lawns. Derek is doing some giveaways related to this. Support the cause, and I would like your support in this as well. Community pulling together for the health of everyone, I think, is important. So take a look. What can you do? What can you do to improve? What could you cut out that might be limiting you? Let's start taking a look at those and have those conversations, because I can't get on the grass. So I'm going to turn this a little bit into health for a little bit until we start talking about the carbon-based fertility, which is coming up. Now, I'm not going to really post any videos about this health journey for this month. We will do a review on it on December 1st, which is a day that I'm heading out of town to go back to Florida. So I'll be wrapping up exactly 30 days through the first part of the holiday season where everybody wants to give you something that is tainted with pork fat. Delicious. So this is going to be great. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you guys again. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the incredible year that we've had. It's just been amazing. And I'll talk to you guys all real soon. Is that right, Ray? You say goodbye?